Imagine this. You wake up in a small camp of 40 people. No police, no courts, no jail cell waiting down the road. Just 40 faces you've known your entire life. Now imagine one of them steals from you, or worse, hurts someone you love. What happens next? There's no officer to call, no judge to appeal to, no system standing between you and whatever happens next. Just you, the person who wronged you, and everyone else watching to see what you'll do. This isn't a thought experiment. This was reality for almost the entire span of human existence. For roughly 200,000 years, humans lived without prisons, without written laws, without a single police officer anywhere on Earth. So here's the question that should unsettle you. If there were no jails, no courts, no formal justice system for the vast majority of human history, how did our ancestors stop each other from stealing, hurting, and killing? The answer isn't chaos, and it isn't as simple as revenge. It's something far stranger, and in some ways, far more brutal than anything we use today. Let's start with what most people assume. Most people assume ancient justice meant an eye for an eye. Someone wrongs you, you wrong them back, simple and immediate. But that's not what happened, not even close. Here's the first problem with that assumption. In a small group of 30 or 40 people, everyone depends on everyone else. You hunt together, you share food, you raise children together. If you attack the person who wronged you and their family retaliates and your family retaliates back, the entire group can collapse into a cycle of violence that never ends. Anthropologists studying small-scale societies today, groups that still live similarly to how our ancestors once did, have found something surprising. Direct, violent revenge was actually rare, not because ancient humans were gentle, but because revenge was dangerous for everyone, not just the wrongdoer. So if it wasn't simple revenge, what was it? The first real answer is almost disappointing in how quiet it is. Gossip. Yes, gossip.
In small hunter-gatherer bands, reputation was everything. There was nowhere to hide, no anonymity, no starting over in a new town. If you stole, if you cheated, if you hurt someone, everyone knew within days. And once everyone knew, something worse than punishment began. You became unreliable. People stopped sharing food with you, stopped inviting you on hunts, stopped trusting you with their children. In a world where survival depended entirely on cooperation, losing your reputation wasn't a minor inconvenience. It could be a death sentence. Just the slower, quieter one. But that solved one problem and created another, because gossip only works if the crime is small enough to talk about. What happens when someone does something so dangerous, so violent, that talking about it isn't enough? What happens when a member of the group becomes a genuine threat to everyone else's survival? This is where the story gets darker, because the next level of ancient justice wasn't private, it was public, and it was designed to hurt in a very specific way. Shame. Many ancient and traditional societies used public humiliation as a deliberate tool, not just as punishment, but as a warning broadcast to the entire group. Some cultures forced wrongdoers to sit in the center of the camp while everyone stared. Others required a public confession spoken aloud in front of the very people who had been wronged. At first, this seems almost gentle compared to what you'd expect from ancient punishment, until you realize something. For humans, a deeply social species that evolved to survive through group belonging, public shame could be more psychologically devastating than physical pain. Some anthropologists argue that fear of humiliation, not fear of violence, was the primary force keeping early human groups in line. But shame has a limit. What happens when someone doesn't feel shame at all? What happens when a member of the group keeps offending again and again, no matter how many times they're humiliated? This is where ancient justice takes its most unsettling turn. Exile.
In many hunter-gatherer and early tribal societies, the ultimate punishment wasn't death, it was banishment. Being cast out of the group entirely, forced to survive completely alone in a world with no agriculture, no stored food, no weapons beyond what you could carry, and no protection from predators or rival groups. To modern ears, exile might sound like a mercy, a second chance, a way to avoid killing someone. It wasn't. For early humans, survival was almost impossible without a group. No single person could hunt large prey alone, defend against predators alone, or gather enough food alone to survive a harsh season. Exile wasn't a lighter punishment than death. In many cases, it was death, just slower, just crueler. A person cast out from the group might survive weeks, sometimes longer, wandering alone, before starvation, exposure, or a predator finished what the group had started. Which raises an uncomfortable question. If exile was essentially a death sentence anyway, why not just kill the person directly? The answer reveals something surprisingly strategic about ancient minds. Killing someone yourself made you a killer. It could spark retaliation from the wrongdoer's family, drag other people into a blood feud, and tear the group apart from the inside. Exile let the group avoid that risk entirely. Nature became the executioner. Nobody in the group had to carry the blood on their hands, and nobody's family could accuse the group of murder. It was, in its own dark way, one of the earliest examples of humans engineering a punishment specifically to avoid the consequences of the punishment itself. But even this system had a breaking point, because not every crime could wait for gossip to spread, or shame to sink in, or exile to slowly do its work. What happened when the threat was immediate, when someone's violence put the entire group in danger right now? This is where archaeology offers a chilling piece of evidence. At several ancient burial sites, researchers have found human remains showing signs of deliberate, ritualized violence, wounds inflicted after death, bodies buried differently from others in the same community, sometimes bound, sometimes placed face down, a position many ancient cultures reserved specifically for those considered dangerous or dishonored even in death. This tells us something disturbing. Some ancient communities didn't just punish the living, they tried to control the dead too, as if the fear a person caused in life needed to be contained even after they were gone. Which forces a bigger question onto the table. If early humans were willing to go this far to control dangerous individuals, why didn't they simply create fixed, permanent laws far earlier than they did? Why did it take so long for formal justice systems to appear?
The surprising answer is that fixed laws come with a hidden cost. Written laws are rigid. They can't account for every relationship, every history, every unique circumstance between two people who have known each other their entire lives. In small, ancient communities, punishment wasn't just about the crime, it was about relationships, reputation, family ties, and the survival of the entire group. A formal, impersonal law code might have actually made things worse, treating every person the same, when ancient survival depended on knowing exactly who could be trusted and who couldn't. It wasn't until human populations grew larger, until strangers started living alongside strangers who had no shared history, no mutual reputation, no web of gossip connecting them, that written laws finally became necessary. Some of the earliest known legal codes, like Hammurabi's Code in ancient Mesopotamia, appear almost exactly at the moment cities grew too large for informal justice to function anymore. In other words, prisons and written laws weren't an upgrade from savage, chaotic justice. They were a replacement for a system that had actually worked for hundreds of thousands of years in a world small enough for everyone to know everyone. So when you ask how ancient humans punished criminals, the honest answer is uncomfortable. They didn't rely on violence first. They relied on something far more powerful and far more human: reputation, shame, belonging. And when all of that failed, on the fear of complete isolation in a world where isolation truly meant death. The next time you hear about a courtroom, a jury, a jail sentence, remember this: for the vast majority of human history, none of that existed. What kept ancient humans safe from each other wasn't a system of laws, it was something far older and far more fragile: the simple, terrifying fear of losing your place among people you couldn't survive without. Justice didn't begin with punishment, it began with belonging. And the oldest fear humans ever carried wasn't the fear of pain, it was the fear of being left alone.